I'm a real estate agent and I'm about to tell you exactly how much commission I earn when I sell a house. Now, this is a topic that most agents don't want to talk to you about, but I think you deserve to know the truth, especially after all the changes that happened to commissions back in 2024. So let's break it down. My name is Walter and I'm an agent here in Westchester and Bronx County, New York. And one of the most common questions I get from homeowners is, how much money are you going to charge me? And honestly, it's a fair question. Selling your home is an important job and the commission is a lot of money. So you should know exactly what you're paying for and where that money goes. And here's the thing, in 2024, the National Association of Realtors settled a lawsuit on how realtors were charging commissions. So today I'm explaining it all. How real estate commissions actually work in the state of New York, what changes were made in 2024, and what I personally charge and why. What's negotiable and what's not, and what you're actually getting for that commission. So let's jump into it. So how did commissions work before 2024? Traditionally, here's how commissions worked up until the summer of 2024. The homeowner would agree to pay a total commission, let's say anywhere between 5 or 6% of the sales price. And that commission will get split into two parts. One part will go to the agent that's representing the homeowner or the listing agent, and then the other portion of that commission would go to the buyer's agent or the agent that's representing the buyer in the sale. So on a $600,000 house with a 5% commission, the total commission would be $30,000. And the listing agent will get a portion of it, let's say $15,000, and the buyer's agent would get the other half of $15,000. Now, here's the thing that most people don't realize, is that those real estate agents never got to keep the entire $15,000. They always had to split that with their office, and their office would take a percentage and they would get the other percentage. Percentages for agents could range anywhere between 50 to 80% of the total commission. So on that check for $15,000, if the real estate agent collected a 70% commission split on that, they would take home $10,500 before taxes. From there, real estate agents need to pay their own taxes and pay their own business expenses. So I never got to see the entire $15,000. Now, I run a team operation with 3 full-time assistants, and they help me with many different things, like managing transactions, marketing, administrative duties, and communications. And all in all, I spend on business expenses anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000 a month that I have to pay before I take home $1. So when you see all those large real estate commissions, just understand that a lot of that money goes right back into the business to help run and service our clients. So no, I never got to see the full $15,000, but traditionally that's how real estate commissions always worked. So what changes were made in 2024? In August of 2024, the National Association of Realtors settled with homeowners that sued them over how real estate agents were charging commissions. The homeowners sued the National Association of Realtors because they claimed it was not right that they were forced to not only compensate their real estate agent, but also compensate the buyer's real estate agent. And technically, because they were right, the National Association of Realtors decided to settle the lawsuit. So there were 2 big changes made. Change number 1 is that the buyer compensation is no longer advertised on the MLS. Before, when I would advertise your home to other real estate agents on the MLS, I would let them know exactly how much buyer agent compensation would come along with selling the property. But now that's gone, so buyer agents can no longer go on the MLS and see how much commission is being offered if they sell a certain property. And change number 2, buyers who hire a buyer's agent must agree to compensate their agent for helping them find a home. And that agreement to compensate their buyer's agent should be in the form of a written agreement. And for those agents who do not have a signed agreement with their buyers, well, technically those buyers are not required to pay them. Same would be true if I was working for a seller and I agreed to sell their house and I never got it in writing. Technically, that seller is not required to pay me. So what does this all mean for you as a seller? For most sellers, the most important thing that they care about is trying to net as much money as possible when they sell their house. And many times this involves offering compensation to a buyer's agent. The difference now is that the buyer's agent commission is now optional. It's no longer automatic or expected. Some sellers are now saying, I'm only gonna pay my real estate agent. I'm not gonna pay the buyer's agent. The buyers can pay their own agent. And that's accepted now. But if your end goal is to try to net as much money as you can on the sale of your home, by not offering a buyer's agent compensation, you might end up shooting yourself in the foot. Let me explain. The easier you make it for a buyer to purchase your property, the more buyers you're gonna get. The more buyers you're gonna get, the likely chances are you're gonna get higher offers and be able to sell your house for more money. Think about it. If a buyer needs $80,000 down payment to buy your house, plus they needed to save an additional $25,000 for closing costs, And now they're gonna need to save up an additional $15,000 to $18,000 to pay their buyer agent commission. By you not agreeing to pay a buyer agent compensation, you're eliminating all those buyers that don't have that extra money. In essence, you're shrinking the buyer pool and making it harder for buyers to purchase your home. Because most home buyers start looking at properties as soon as they have the minimum amount required to purchase a property. So in this case, once they have $105,000 saved up, they start looking for houses. But if you require the buyer to pay their own agent commission, instead of saving up $105,000, now they're gonna need $123,000. So you just eliminated a lot of buyers that don't have the full $123,000 from looking at and buying your home. And here's the thing, one of those buyers that you just eliminated might have been the one that's willing to offer you $20,000 more than anyone else would to purchase your home. When you make buyers come out of pocket to pay the agent's commission, essentially what you're doing is you're shrinking the buyer pool. There are less buyers be able to buy your property. Less buyers means less offers and potentially less money in your pocket. And that's why traditionally buyer agent commission has always been put into the sales price. It just made it easier for everyone to get the homeowner more money. When you roll the buyer's agent commission into the sales price, you're just making it easier for the buyer to buy the property. Because you're making it easier, potentially you get more money for your home when it sells. So yes, paying for a buyer agent commission might cost you $15,000 in commission, but by not paying the commission, you might lose an additional $30,000 or $40,000 on the sales price by turning away buyers that might otherwise be willing to buy your property. And that's why most sellers are still choosing to offer buyer agent compensation. Because at the end of the day, it's a way for them to net the most amount of money. Okay, so what do I actually charge? All right, so here's what I charge and why. For selling a home, I typically charge anywhere between 2 to 3% of the sales price. Now, is that negotiable? Here's my honest answer. Technically, everything is negotiable, but here's what you need to understand. As a homeowner, you always have the option of finding someone cheaper. You can always find someone that'll charge less money than what I charge. But there's intrinsic value in what we do as real estate agents, and not all real estate agents are gonna provide the same value. The best agents tend to set standards on how they communicate, how they market your property, how they negotiate, and how they problem solve. And the worst agents typically don't. And by going with a cheaper agent, you're probably not gonna get those same standards. When I take on a new client, I always make sure that the agreement is a win-win for both of us. And the best agents tend to charge a little bit more because they know what they bring to the table. And here's one more thing to consider. Real estate transactions can get complicated. Real estate can get messy because people are messy. And issues can come up like inspection problems, appraisal issues, title complications, buyers can get cold feet, deals that might need to be saved at the last minute. And when things get a little hairy, which they often do in real estate, you wanna make sure you hire somebody that's sharp and willing to fight for you. Or do you wanna hire a discount agent when things get difficult? That's a question that you'll need to answer. So what does hiring me actually look like? When you hire me, you're getting a full service professional marketing. I hire a photographer for high quality photos, floor plans, drone footage, and video virtual tours. We don't use our cell phones for photos, and you get maximum exposure across all the major real estate websites. I price your home strategically based on real market data, and we also run a preliminary title search to avoid last-minute title issues like open permits or violations. When offers come in, I negotiate on your behalf to get you the best price possible. And I've saved my clients tens of thousands of dollars by knowing how to handle inspection issues, appraisal issues, and buyer demands. Yes, you can find someone cheaper, but if they're charging you a discounted commission, what's their motivation for fighting for every last single dollar on your sale? Here's the truth, a good agent is gonna make you more money than they cost. You don't hire me to save $3,000 on the commission, you hire me to make $30,000 more net on the sale of your home. Now the buyer's agent commission. This is where things get interesting after the NAR settlement. So as a seller, you have one of three options to paying buyer's agent commission. Option number one would be to offer to pay 2 or 2.5% of the sales price to a buyer's agent. You also have the option of paying nothing. You can decide you don't want to pay anything at all and have the buyer compensate their agent. Or option number three is you can decide to pay a portion of it. You can decide to pay, let's say 1% and have the buyers pay their agent the difference on the commission. My recommendation working here in Westchester and Bronx County is to still offer the buyer's agent a commission of 2 or 2.5% of the sales price. And here's why. Now, most buyers are already stretching their budget to buy your home. And if you're then forcing them to come up with an additional $15,000 or $18,000 on top of that to pay their real estate agent, well, now you're just eliminating a huge portion of the potential buyers for your property. And when you have fewer buyers looking at your home, fewer buyers means fewer offers, which potentially means less money when you sell your home. So yes, you might save $15,000 on commission, but what good does that do you if your sales price had to be reduced by $40,000 because you limited the number of buyers looking at your home? So what's negotiable? You can negotiate what the total commission is going to be and how that's going to get split between your agent and the buyer's agent. You can also negotiate what services are included and excluded. I'll give you a few examples. Some homeowners do not want a for sale sign. Other homeowners do not want open houses. So I make these things optional. Another thing you can negotiate is how long the listing agreement will last. You cannot negotiate what percentage my brokerage takes. That's negotiated between me and my brokerage. And you cannot negotiate market conditions. Market conditions change on their own. You have some influence over what you're willing to accept, but you do not have full control over what a buyer is willing to offer to purchase your property. My advice would be not to hire an agent based on who charges the least, but instead who has the best track record of getting results. What are they doing to market your property? What are they going to actually do to get your property sold? How well do they communicate? Will they keep you updated with phone calls? And how well do they know your neighborhood? The difference between a great agent and an average agent could be a difference of $50,000 on price. And that's a lot more than the $3,000 that you'll save on commissions. So there you have it, a full honest breakdown of how real estate commissions work here in New York. Look, I get it. Nobody wants to pay $30,000 in commission if they don't have to. But if I can help you net $50,000 or $75,000 more on the sale of your property, then I'm more than paid for myself. I know that choosing the right agent is a very important decision. So before you make that decision, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. This way you can get to know me better and decide for yourself if I'm the right agent for you. My contact information is down below in the description, and I post videos about selling real estate here in Westchester and Bronx County all the time. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.